Hi, I'm Penny, and you're listening to Enneagram and Popcorn. Today's episode is a bonus episode all about how I met your mother. This is my first solo show. It feels really weird to record without my BFF L, but I have received intelligence that she is also recording a solo show as we speak. So, though we are apart, it is like we're together. Anyway, like I mentioned, today I'll be talking about How I Met Your Mother, which you can watch on Hulu. How I Met Your Mother ran for almost 9 years, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot happening, and the concept of the show is so amazing that Ted Mosby sits his two children down somewhere in the future, which actually now in 2020 is not so far away, but and recounts the story of how he met their mother. And the characters are Ted, his BFF Marshall, Barney, Lily, and Robin Scherbatsky. And later, of course, the mom. But throughout the whole television show, we have no idea who the mom actually is, which is pretty awesome. So, like I mentioned, you can watch How I Met Your Mother on Hulu right now. It was actually a Golden Globe nominee twice, and it won a lot of other awards for comedies like Primetime Emmys and lots of Primetime Emmys, actually, which is fantastic. Okay, without further ado, I am going to just list off my typing thoughts, and then I'll go back and unpack them, just like Elle and I usually do when we're together. So here we go. Ted Mosby, 4-wing 5. Marshall Erickson, 9-wing 1. Barney Stinson, 4-wing 3. Or maybe 3-wing 4. I'm not sure. Lily Aldrin, 6-wing 7. And Robin Scherbatsky, 8-wing. I'm not sure. Maybe 7. So, those are my thoughts. I hope that you will also take a look at our episode list, which has been posted on Instagram, which is at Enneagram and Popcorn. We decided that it would be great to use the Lettering Lanes fall episode list since Thanksgiving is right around the corner. So head on over there, watch those shows or pick a couple of your favorites, because those are the ones that I watched in preparation for recording this episode. So let's talk about Ted. So I think that Ted is a 4-wing 5. I love Ted Mosby. It may be that we're the same Enneagram type, perhaps. I'm not sure. But I, throughout the whole series, just really enjoy his antics. He is such a romantic. And as he's recounting the tales of, the loves of his life, he is just a big bleeding heart, basically. The whole time he just talks about, this could be my future wife. And I really appreciated, especially in the episode called The Slutty Pumpkin, where Ted has met this girl at a Halloween party 10 years ago, and she was dressed up as a pumpkin, and he was the hanging Chad. And they just really hit it off, but he lost her phone number, which was written on a Kit Kat bar. So every year he goes to the exact same party, dressed in the exact same costume, looking for who he calls as the slutty pumpkin, which just is, this feels like such a four thing to do. Just to hold on so tightly and keep returning for, this girl who could be his one true love, the future mother of his children. And as he's referring to the slutty pumpkin as his future wife, Lily even says, if that's the case, you might want to stop calling her that, which I really appreciated. But Ted, he is an architect, he's an artist, and he is a professor. Later on, he gets a gig as a professor. He loves to show off his obscure knowledge and to correct people whenever they are wrong, if they have facts incorrectly. I greatly appreciate his pronunciation of the word encyclopedia, among a few others. But I definitely think that Ted is a 4 wing 5 without a doubt. And so one of the resources for the Enneagram that we talk about a lot here on Enneagram and Popcorn is basically anything written by Ian Morgan-Cron or Suzanne Stabile. And in fact, Ian Morgan-Cron actually did an interview with Josh Radnor, who plays Ted Mosby, on his podcast called Typology. And it is one of my favorite podcast interviews of all time. It is so good. It is, I don't know, it may be just my Enneagram and popcorn heart, but Josh Radnor talks a lot about kind of the role that the Enneagram plays in the entertainment industry. And he even discusses that there are certain directors or like a certain casting agent, I think it may be a director, but they won't even cast you as a character if your Enneagram number as an actor does not line up with the character's Enneagram. And that just blew my mind to know that the Enneagram is used in storytelling in this way, which obviously it makes sense because that's what our whole podcast is about. But it's just really fascinating. So I highly recommend, after you finish listening to this episode, to hop on over, do a Google search of Josh Radnor and typology and listen to that episode because it will not let you down. Okay, moving on from Ted Mosby, heart of my hearts, 4-wing-5, just like me, to Marshall Erickson. Marshall is a 6'4" giant from the Midwest. He comes from a big family. I mean that in that they are tall, giant people, and also there's many of them. And we really get to see this in some of the Thanksgiving episodes for sure. The episode that is called Belly Full of Turkey, I think, especially see that as Marshall and his fiancee Lily have gone home to visit the Erickson family. And they are just such a tight-knit group of folks, so sweet, big-hearted. It's a hilarious episode. Definitely spent a lot of time laughing. But this really, to me, brought out his Enneagram number. So it has been spoken amongst Enneagram experts that if you're trying to figure out what your number is, you need to think back to like your late adolescence, early adulthood times. And that time is what really brings out your Enneagram number. And I personally think whenever I am with my family, like my 4-ness comes out so much. I feel so much like, oh, I'm so different and I don't fit in. That's, if you're listening to this, fam, I know I fit in with you, but just that the four's entire deal about missing piece, that just really comes out for me, and my creativity and all the things that make me a four really shine when I'm with my family. And I think the exact same thing happens for Marshall Erickson at the Thanksgiving table. There's all this drama with Lily, who, nobody knows except for us, the audience, and Lily, but Lily thinks she might be pregnant. So there's a lot of drama. And Marshall is just trying to keep it cool. He's trying to take care of his family and just everyone really get along. So I definitely see Marshall Erickson as a 9. Sometimes I struggle to think that maybe he's a 1, just because Marshall is really focused on being good. Like, he, at the beginning of the show, is in law school, or they talk about when he's in law school, and then he becomes this lawyer, and his big dream is to be an environmental lawyer. And he is always trying to take down the man for, the good guys. So that is such a 1 quality. We often think of 1s as perfectionists, but really 1s want to be good. And I think that is definitely a huge quality of Marshall Erickson. Okay, we're going to keep it with the boys first. So I'm going to move on to Barney Stinson. He is the man's man. He is a player. Literally the whole show outlines Barney's playbook. He has all of these crazy moves, and there is a book that has all of the plays in it. And that is what we know Barney for. I think that it, on the surface level, would be easy to think that Barney Stinson is a 7, just because he is all about having a good time and having fun and being spontaneous. He lives a luxurious life. He's always wearing suits. But when you take a look at the triads, right? So there are 3 triads: the head, the heart, and the gut. The 7 is in the head triad, right? The thinking triad, which is 5, 6, and 7. So 7s are thinkers underneath, and the 4 is in the heart triad. And 4s and folks in the heart triad are definitely feelers. But like I mentioned, I'm going to bring up Ian Morgan-Crone again, in he and Suzanne Stabile's study guide for The Road Back to You. There's this awesome chart that I reference again and again, and it talks about the underlying feeling being shame. And I think that is the case with Barney Stinson. His underlying driving feeling is that of shame. He is definitely a 4-wing 3 if he's a 4, because the 3 is the achiever. They care about how they look on the outside. And so just between his success projection of, wearing suits all the time and working at the fancy job that we never know what it is until the end, I think he is a 4-wing 3 for sure. There's the whole show really explores Barney's ideas about, who is his dad. And I think that the standing out is definitely a way that the 4 is presented for him. Now we have to remember, when we're looking at Enneagram types, that it is not what it looks like, but what the underlying why. So it's always good to keep that in mind. Someone who's a 7 and someone who's a 4 might look exactly alike on the outside, but the thing that determines their number is what their motivations are underneath. So that is how I arrived at a 4 for Barney Stinson. Shall we move on to the ladies? All right, y'all, hang on to your hats. We have 2 more characters to type in this bonus episode. First, I'm going to give you my reasoning behind Lily Aldrin's type of a 6 wing 7. All right, this was tricky for me because I sort of think at first, I thought that Lily could be an 8 because she is a little bit bossy and controlling, but we do have to remember that there is a subtype of the 6 that looks like 8s, and 6 and 8s are often mistyped. So you guessed it, we are going back to the typing tool. We're going to look at triads again. So just like the 7, a 6 is in the head triad. Those are the thinkers. When life happens, their first instinct is to think. And I might actually change my mind as we are talking, folks. When life happens, they tend to think and overthink. I think maybe I am going to talk myself into Lily being an 8 right now, because based off of when life happens to Lily, does she think or does she react? I'm pretty sure she just automatically reacts. I would not call Lily an overthinker. So I just changed my typing. Isn't that so funny? I'm going to have to cross this out on my list. All right, so when life happens, right, when Lily is trying to make her decision about being a teacher or being an artist, she just gets up and goes. She goes to be an artist. Or when she gets angry at people, she doesn't overthink it, right? Even in these episodes, we haven't talked about it. In these episodes, there is the highlight of Lily's "you are dead to me" look, because she just gets peeved at people and gives them this look. Now, I don't mean she just gets peeved. There are some very good reasons for her to give people this look, but she is a little bit angry underneath. The underlying emotion for an 8 is definitely one of a gut reaction of anger controlling the situation. So Lily is very sweet, but she likes to be in control of what's happening, and she definitely reacts with her gut, sometimes for the better, sometimes for not. We can definitely agree that an 8 wing 7 and a 9 wing 1 make a great couple to balance each other out. And just like Lily and Marshall do, I love in the Halloween episode where they dress up as the parrot and the pirate. It's so adorable. You know, Lily definitely has access to her feelings, even though they're maybe not there right away. And I think that might be the reason why I was a little hesitant to type her as an 8, is because she certainly, she is a romantic. And I think that when 8s have done their work and they really find the right person, that they totally can be romantics too. And it's not very fair of us to write them off as such just because they're 8s. And last but certainly not least, Robin Scherbatsky. I would say I have Robin Scherbatsky down as an 8 wing question marks. But as I sat and typed Lily, I might retype Robin. So here we go. Robin Scherbatsky. She's a Canadian. She has come from a very interesting background. She is a journalist. She's a news anchor. She is very secure in who she is. So let's just walk through the typing tool. What do you say Robin is a head person, a heart person, or a gut person? I think although she may be a little angry underneath, I would say that Robin is a thinker, that she does not necessarily automatically react with her gut, though she does do some spontaneous things. Like when she moves across the country. I mean, not across the country, sorry. when she moves across the world to do that crazy newscaster gig, or she moves down to, I think, like Central America with one of her boyfriends for a while. So she's pretty spontaneous, but I would say she does think about things. She has a plan. She's definitely a thinker and a planner. So she's in the head triad. So numbers in the head triad are 5, 6, and 7. I do not think that she is a 5 at all, but let's go ahead and look at the stanzas. So we have aggressive, dependent, or withdrawn. So I don't think that Robin necessarily is withdrawn at all. She does not go inward necessarily whenever there is conflict. But I don't think she waits to see how other people react either. So let's see. We have 5, 6, and 7 in the heart in the head triad. So if she is aggressive, there is 8, 3, and 7. So the only number that is the same is 7. So Ryan Scherbatsky has a 7. That's very interesting. I was going to say that I changed my mind and thought that she was a 6, but I wouldn't say that she's very dependent. So I think we just typed her as a 7. So, all right, the final count for the types, I'm going to go through them one more time. We have Ted Mosby as a 4 wing 5, Marshall Erickson as a 9 wing 1, Barney Stinson as a 4 wing 3. Lily Aldrin was a 6 wing 7, but I just retyped her as an 8. And then Robin Scherbatsky as a 7 wing 8. So these are strange typings. I've done my research. I've seen what other people post, and I know that this may be a little bit different, but I would love to hear your typings of these characters. So please go ahead and shoot me an email at enneagramandpopcorn@gmail.com. I would really love to see what you type, or you can, print out the typing tool that's on our Instagram or sign up for our email list and we'll email it to you. You can fill it out and type them and send a picture. I would love to see that. That'd be so much fun. So this concludes my first solo episode. This is so crazy. It's very strange to be here without Elle, but it's still fun to just be here with you. And I do hope you'll join in the conversation and let me know what your typings are. So without Elle, I guess all I just have to say to you is goodbye, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.